Okay, so what I've done is I've set ourselves up with a fairly potent monster. It appears 78 on the encounter table, and so for this level of character, which is basically just gone through the first few dungeon training missions, we're just entry level really, so 78 on the encounter table is a fair challenge for this type of adventurer. The monster's got the fire ability, which tells us that every time the monster rolls a natural 1 on its damage die, there's a chance we'll be struck by fire, and so the monster will deliver us, if we fail, 2 health points of damage. So I've worked it out. It says that the test will be dexterity -5, so we've got a dexterity of 21 -5. We've put it down to 16. It uses the dodge skill, which we don't have a bonus for, so unfortunately poor Sir James is going to have to make a D100 roll of 16 or less, or will take 2 hit health points each time the monster rolls a natural 1 on its damage die. So right, we'll get stuck into combat now. We roll for the demon's reaction. Roll a 4, which tells us that it will attack as normal. And for our first round, I'm going to cast magic armor. No, I'm not. I'm going to cast knowledge. And so what that's going to do is that is going to put in place +20. If we're successful, it put +20 to the next time Sir James makes a D100 dice roll. So I'm going to first of all apply the cost. So I've got a normal health points of 21, so that drops down to 19 now, and now I need to make the roll. So its knowledge is +10 to dexterity and +5 for lucky, so that's going to be +15. So I've got an intelligence of 50, so it's going to be 65 or less. We need to roll for the spell to take effect. We roll 37, so I'll put a little note here that we next D100 roll that Sir James makes would be +20. And now the demon gets to attack. Let's see what the demon does. And it's rolled 77, so that's a miss. And now we start a new round of combat. We rolled a 7 for its reaction that tells us it will attack as normal. And our next spell that we're going to cast is going to be Mirror Image. And so I need to deduct 5 health points. So that will put us on 14. And I need to make this roll with +0 for the spell bonus. I've got +20 from the knowledge that we used last round, and I get +5, so that's +25 because of my lucky skill. +25, so that's 75 or less. I roll the D100. I rolled 52, so we've actually managed to do it. So we've now got 4 copies of ourselves standing in front of the monster at the start of the next combat round. So for this round, the demon is going to attack as normal, and let's see what it does. It's rolled 66, so once again it's missed us. It needed 55 or less from its attack value, and so we start a new combat round. Rolled a 3, which tells us it will attack as normal, and the next spell I'm going to cast is Clone, and so I will deduct another 3 from that, which puts us on 11, and I get +20 for Clone and +5 for my lucky skill, so I'm rolling at 75. I'll just rub out that reference from before so it doesn't confuse us. So I'm rolling 75 or less. I roll 42, so that is cast, and our Clone begins its enters combat next combat round with 11 points of health points. And now we roll for the monster, and it's rolled 29, so it's hit us this time. And now we need to roll the die, the D10, to see if it's hit us or one of our illusions that's began life at the beginning of this combat round. And let's roll that, and I rolled 2, so we're safe there. So we can automatically go ahead and deduct one of our illusions that are created, and so we take no damage. And the next thing we do is we roll for a new combat round. Rolled a 9, that says if the monster was damaged last round, it will try and escape. Well, it wasn't. It's still got its maximum health, and so we can now begin using our clone to start attacking this monster. And I'm going to roll for a strength based attack using a mighty claymore. The clone can either attack via strength or dexterity. They're not permitted to use any spells, and so it's purely there to fight on behalf of the monster, on behalf of you, the adventurer, and you will be able to use either of these two special abilities depending on what weapon you was using, if they were unlocked. So we've got the unlocked is Mighty Blow for this particular clone, and so we need to roll 75 or less, which is our strength, and we've rolled 85, so that's actually a miss, and so the monster's attack is 52, so that's a hit, and we'll roll to see if it hits us or it hits our clone now, because we've got a clone in place of us, or it hits one of our illusions. It's rolled a 3, so it's hit one of our illusions, and now we begin a new round of combat. Rolled a 10, so the monster will try and escape, and so our clone will attempt to block it, and for block we will use the block test, which is strength minus 10, and we use escape skill. So strength minus 10 would be 65, plus 5 for escape is 70, so we need to roll 70 or less to block the monster's escape. We rolled 01, and so in normal circumstances you would need to make a decision at this point. Would you apply the experience that you would gain because you've rolled 10 or less to your adventurer, and or to your adventure strength, or to the skills that were used for that test, which in this case was escape, or would you exclude that because it was your clone that actually did it? And there's an argument for both cases, and the rules do not cover both cases. The argument for is that your adventurer is still controlling the clone, and so would gain knowledge in that fact. And the other argument is that your clone is actually performing and making the actions. Would your adventurer really gain those benefits? That learning that you would gain from actually performing that block escape action that your clone made. I play it so that I do not receive the experience, and because I prefer a more challenging game, you can decide how you wish that to play out for yourselves. But for the purpose of this, we've actually managed to block the escape, and so we now need to roll damage and location against the monster. And we've rolled 8, which is a belt check, which doesn't apply to the monster. We've rolled a 6, so we get to roll that again because of our mighty blow. We've rolled 5, so that's 11 points of damage, plus the 4 makes 15 damage because of the mighty claymore. So that's 15 points of damage, less 4 because of its defense is 11 points of damage, and so we put that down to 9. And now the monster gets to attack. We roll 38, so that's another hit. So we decide whether it's going to hit our clone or it's going to hit one of our images that we've created. And so what we do is we roll that again, and we've rolled a 9, so it hits one of our images, and we delete one of them. And now we start a new combat round. Roll a 6, which tells us the monster will attack as normal, and we begin the attack using our clone again. We roll 28 this time, so that's a hit, and we roll location and damage, and we've hit it in the head for 2, plus 3 for the head location, that's 5, plus 4 is 9, less 4 is 5, so we do 5 points of damage. So it's now on 4 health points, and now it's attack back. It's rolled 94, so that's a miss. Now we begin combat again in a new round, and let's see what we get. So I rolled a 5, which means the monster will attack as normal, and we roll again 75 or less. Rolled 69, so that's a hit, and we roll location. I've done 1 point of damage in 5, which is the hands, and so I had 4, but I need to deduct 4, so it will only take 1 point of damage this turn. So it's now on 3 health points, and the monster's attack is 37, so that's a hit. And first of all, we need to decide if it's going to hit our illusion, and it doesn't. It hits one of our illusions, so we can get to deduct our last illusion. So they've all vanished now, and any damage that will affect us again will now be applied to our clone. And so we start a new combat round. Roll a 7, which is an attack as normal, and let's see what Sir James, his clone, can do this round. So rolled 50, which is a hit, and rolled 2, which is in the back. We get +2 to our die roll of 1, so that's 3 points of damage. So 3 plus 4 is 7, minus 4 is back to 3 again, and we've actually killed the monster. Had we not, now that we're in a position we've got clone in play, if the monster was to roll successfully and do some damage, it would be applied to the clone that's going to vanish at the end of this combat round anyway. So you wouldn't need to continue combat at this stage. You could end it, because the adventurer will not be taking any of the damage. If the monster was to hit it, it would all go to the clone. So that concludes combat and some spell use, and I hope it's helped out with how you can prolong your adventurer's life by using a few tricks and a few powerful spells that you may collect during your adventure. Thanks for watching.